So basically, how I look at zero knowledge proofs is how I say, right? We all know encryption. So if encryption is like a light switch, like either on or off, zero knowledge proofs are like a dimmer, where you can control what you know how much and what you expose. So let's start with a little demonstration. So is anyone willing to volunteer to come up and okay, Anish, yeah. All right. So here I have a deck of like a small deck of cards. So don't show me. And now pick one card and show it to the crowd, just the crowd. All right. Okay. And now put it back, and just tell me, was it a black card or sorry. Pick the card, show it to people, and then put it face down over there at some other table. All right, so show it to everybody, and put it on the table, face down. All right, and now let me ask you, was it a black card or a red card?
Black.
All right, so okay, so I want you to prove it to me. There was a black card, but how can you prove to me that it was a black card without showing me the card or without telling me what card it was?
He knew the number of cards between black and a red, and if I proved all the rest of it, then it's obvious that it's a black.
Right. So say we want to prove that it was a black card without saying what card it was. If now he shows me all the red cards, then and he still has them. So give me all the red cards.
I'm not a great card counter.
Yeah, that's why I did like a smaller deck.
Okay, there you go.
All right, so give me all the red cards. All right, so now we can see, or I guess you can't see. We've got all the like high red cards. So we know that whatever card he put on the table, it must have been from the black cards. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to give me the full set of red cards. So yeah, thanks a lot, man.
Shall I leave it?
Yeah, leave it. Okay, thanks, man. Right. So that's exactly right. So that's exactly an example of how we exactly exposed the amount of data we wanted, not which black card it was, but just the fact that it was a black card. We exactly exposed that amount of information, right? So that's exactly an example of this thing. Now let's see another example. So I need another volunteer. Okay, thanks, Sandra. All right, so now, as you can see on the table, I have a bunch of balloons. Some of them are the same color, and some of them are of different colors. So like there's 2 oranges. So now I'm going to close my eyes, and Sandra is going to pick 2 balloons of different colors and put them in my 2 hands. And I'm gonna keep my eyes closed. All right. So pick 2 balloons, put one in one hand. All right. Now say that from now this is my condition. I can't open my eyes, and I don't trust Sandra that Sandra put balloons of different colors in my hands. So how can she prove to me that they're of different color? So let me do this. Is she over there?
I'm here, yes.
Okay. So I'm going to show her the balloons. All right. And now I'm going to put them behind my back. I'm going to play with them a while. And now I'm going to show Sandra again the balloons and ask, did I switch them or not? All right. So let's restart. Okay, and yeah, this is the first time I'm doing this live too. So All right, so remember which one is it on which side. All right, remember? And now, go to, okay. All right, and now, did I switch them or not?
You switched them.
Okay. All right, now remember again, like where they are. Did I switch them or not? You did? Yeah. Yeah. All right. So I believe you. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Okay. So so the idea is if they were of the same color, she would have to just guess, and then there'd be a probability of half that she would guess wrong. She would say you switched them when I didn't. So if we do this k times, right? We do this many times, the probability she'll get it right every time is very small, and I become more and more convinced that they're really of different colors. So okay, so now you can there'll be no more volunteering, so you can relax. All right, and here's another example, which we'll do. I couldn't bring a tree here, so we'll just do it this one theoretically. So say you're walking with a friend in a forest, and he's telling you, I have this magical ability of looking at a tree and saying how many leaves it has. How can this friend prove to you he has this ability without disclosing the number of leaves on the tree? So the trick is something like this. So your friend tells you, okay, turn around, don't look at the tree, and now he's going to choose some random. Sorry, you tell your friend, turn around, don't look at the tree. You choose some small random number in your head, and you pick off that number of leaves from the tree. So there's a little small amount of abuse here for the tree. And then your friend you tell your friend, turn around, and you ask him, how many leaves did I take off? Right? And the idea is that if he has this magical ability to count the number of leaves on a tree, then he'll be able to count the new number, subtract from the old number, and tell you how many leaves you took off. Right. Okay. Another nice example is Where's Waldo? So, right, the Where's Waldo? The idea is Waldo is hiding somewhere in the picture, and we're trying to. So suppose somebody found where Waldo is, and he wanted to prove to you that he knows where Waldo is without giving the location. So how could we do it? So here's the idea. We get a really large sheet of paper and make a little hole. We put the picture below, underneath the big sheet. And now we move the picture underneath so that Waldo will exactly align with where the hole is. So the person seeing this proof will only see Waldo through the hole, but will not see the location of him in the picture. I don't. I figured it out before, but I don't. If I had a big sheet, I would. I don't want to give away the information in the spirit of the talk. Yeah. All right, and now there's the example of 3 coloring that, unfortunately, this one I needed my laptop for, so I think we will just yeah, I think we'll just skip it because it's a little hard without the demonstration. Okay. All right, and now here's okay. So the talk is going to get. I said there'll be something for everybody. Not everybody likes balloons, so the talk might get less fun from now on. So just as a disclaimer, you know, we had some fun, but all right. So here's a cool application of zero knowledge by that I saw in an old post of Greg Maxwell. Yeah. Just sort of as a personal anecdote, I was never interested in cryptography. I was doing other types of computer science, and yeah, and really, you know, Bitcoin is what got me into cryptography because of various like cool applications. For example, zero knowledge contingent payments. So suppose Alice has a solution to some Sudoku puzzle, and Bob wants to buy the solution, is willing to pay for it. So there's a sort of chicken and egg problem that if Bob pays first, maybe Alice doesn't actually have the solution. And if Alice first shows she has the solution, then maybe Bob won't pay for it after he's seen it already. So zero knowledge contingent payment is a pretty cool protocol you can implement on a blockchain where there's this atomicity such that the money will sort of move to Alice, or actually anyone on the chain who's going to post a good solution, exactly at the same time that the solution will be given. So how does this work? Yeah, and like I said, sorry, it's going to get a little more mathematical from this point. A little meaning like a lot. So Alice is going to choose some like an encryption key K, and hash it, and send the hash of it. And now Alice is going to send an encryption with this key K of the Sudoku solution S to Bob. And she's going to prove in zero knowledge that C is an encryption of a Sudoku solution under a key whose hash is H. And now, right, so we have in Bitcoin this concept of hash-locked transactions. So Bob will make a hash-locked transaction to Alice with H. So actually, I haven't gone over this example in a long time, but right, meaning that at this point, the minute Alice provides the pre-image, she will get the money. Um, so now Alice has to reveal this key K to unlock her funds. The what? So Alice, she will prove in zero knowledge that C is an encryption of the solution. So Bob will only make this this transaction after he's verified the zero knowledge proof. So when Bob is making this, he knows that this is an encryption of a valid solution to the Sudoku puzzle. So when Alice reveals K on the chain to unlock her funds, then Bob can be sure that he has an encryption of a solution with key K, and he can decrypt it. Right. And so this is where the magic of zero knowledge comes in here, that when Alice sent the encryption, she also proved in zero knowledge that this is really an encryption under key K of a valid solution. How? So, okay, so this requires, I mean, I'll get into this a little later, but I mean, get into it to a degree, but basically, right, we saw examples with cards and leaves, but the full power of zero knowledge proofs, what it gives you is that for basically any program, any C program, the general thing it lets you do is, like, say there's some program and some output of this program. For any program and any output, you can prove in zero knowledge. This is what general zero knowledge proofs let you do. Any program and any output of that program, you can prove in zero knowledge that you know an input to this program that will lead to this output. So, right? So we can think of the program that whose output is this C, and what the program does is that the inputs to the programs are K and S. The program checks that S is a valid solution to the Sudoku puzzle that is public, that we all know about. Then encrypts, if it's not a solution, then the program aborts. If it is a solution, then the program will encrypt the solution with key K, and output that. So the point is, you can this statement, you can massage it to the format, I know an input to some computer program with output C. Yeah. Please, feel free to ask more questions, because it helps me gauge, where people are at, especially as we get to the more mathy stuff. Yeah.
Which step would which step would the proof fail if Alice had developed a false solution to the Sudoku puzzle?
So step two. Step two. Or actually, what I should have written in step 3 or step 2.b, whatever, 2.5, is Bob checks the zero knowledge proof, and if it doesn't verify, Bob aborts the protocol. All right. And now, yeah, for an example that is mathy, but maybe will be somewhat familiar to people. So who here has seen like a Schnorr signature? Has seen that in his or her life? Okay, good. So we've seen Schnorr signatures, and we think of it as a signature. But you can also think of the Schnorr as Schnorr as a protocol for proving knowledge of a discrete log. So say we have publicly some value g to the x, right? So this is what we usually think of as a public key. And you want to prove you know the corresponding secret key, x, without revealing x. So how do you do it? And the point is, yeah, if you've seen a Schnorr signature, this will look very familiar. You can think of the signing process as a zero-knowledge proof that you know x. So the prover will choose some random r and define capital R to be like g to the r and send capital R. And now the verifier chooses a random challenge C, right? Or in the signing process, we get that from a hash, but if it's an interactive protocol, the verifier will send it. And now the prover sends this value u, which is x times c plus r. So sort of the secret times the challenge plus the nonce, sort of the secret version of the nonce. Right, so the idea is that only someone who knows little x would be able to compute this u correctly. Now the point is, on the other hand, that although to compute this u, you need to know little x. To check that u is correct, you can sort of do it in the exponent. So the verifier can do it using the sort of the public key, the capital X, right? So the verifier will check that x times r is g to the u, right? Which exactly will correspond to, in the exponent to this check that u is correct. Just get a little water. Okay, so now if we try to write Schnorr, it's been around for a while. If we want to start talking a little about modern zero-knowledge proofs, or what people are calling zk-SNARKs these days, so sort of how they developed is so there were sort of these two parallel paths in theoretical computer science that. In the 90s, that one was the zero-knowledge proofs, and in parallel there was this really big breakthrough in theoretical computer science of this idea of succinct verification. So this idea that verification can be sort of much faster, like you can verify a claim in some cases much more rapidly than it would take to sort of to prove the claim. So the first example of this was a big breakthrough, what's called the sum check protocol. So the sum check protocol talked about what's called in theoretical computer science co-NP statements. So NP statements are things like this Sudoku puzzle has a solution. This set of equations has a solution. Co-NP statements are statements of the form, for example, this Sudoku puzzle doesn't have a solution. So right, so if you think about it intuitively, you want to prove a Sudoku puzzle has a solution. Say you don't care about zero knowledge, right? You can just give someone the solution. But now, say you want to prove to someone that a Sudoku puzzle doesn't have a solution. How do you do it? Right? Intuitively, it seems like to be convinced of that, someone needs to go through all the possibilities. So in this context, this thing called the sum check protocol was a pretty big breakthrough that showed a method where you can a verifier can be efficiently convinced in an exponentially smaller time than it would take to go through to try all the options. You can convince the verifier that some Sudoku puzzle doesn't have a solution, right? Or again, in computer science terms, that any Co-NP problem is, it doesn't have a solution. So this work on the sum check protocol, it created this what's the word? This direction in research where people started to see how much can we leverage this idea that verification of something can be more efficient than sort of natively computing it. And in a sense, one culmination of this direction of research was something called the PCP theorem. PCP stands for probabilistically checkable proof. And what this theorem said is that a proof of any NP statement, for our example, a proof that a Sudoku puzzle has a solution. So this is not about zero knowledge right now, right? The natural proof that a Sudoku puzzle has a solution is the solution itself, right? Which in general is going to be at most, right, 81 numbers, because it's a 9 by 9 matrix. Wait, no, 81? No, 9. Yeah, 81. So what this PCP theorem said is that this proof, you can encode it in a way that the verifier, the proof will get a little longer than 81 symbols, but when you've encoded the proof in this way, a verifier can read only 3 bits of this proof, and he will be convinced with high probability that the proof is correct after reading just these 3 bits. So sort of there were these two directions of research, zero knowledge proofs and succinct proofs, succinct verification, and sort of they met and combined very, very nicely. In this paper, one of my favorites, a note on efficient zero knowledge proofs and arguments by Joe Killian. This is a really great paper. And at a high level, he said there are 2 things that are intuitively pretty, make sense or seem straightforward, but somehow this paper captured and set this tone that succinctness and zero knowledge work well together. And sort of the first thing he said in this paper is, well, we've got these proofs that are encoded in a way where you only need to read a few bits, but the proofs themselves are not small. You choose randomly to read just a few bits, but the proof itself is not small. But he's saying, but once you have succinct verification, you can actually get the proof itself to be small. Why? Because you can do sort of the Merkle tricks. You can take the long proof, you can hash it in a Merkle tree, use the root as sort of your randomness, and then use that to choose which bits to read. And then, as the final proof, you can give just the Merkle paths to these bits that you chose to read. And so the whole proof will just be the Merkle paths of, say, these 3 bits. And also sort of what he says in this paper is that, which is also intuitively, makes a lot of sense, is that when succinctness and zero knowledge combine well, because when you've compressed your proof is small, then it's small, there's less places where sensitive information can hide. It's easier to blind whatever information is potentially leaked by the proof when it's smaller. All right, and now, I want to tell you a little about how to think about how actually modern constructions of zero knowledge short proofs are. How's the time? What is the time? Mario, do you know the time? 5 minutes. Okay, that's good. Right. So. All right, so a few minutes about give you a little of a feel. A little feel about how modern zero knowledge proofs, succinct proofs work. So again, so I'll go through this a little quickly. So again, the idea of just to sort of recap things we said. The general statements we want to prove, when you think about it generally, we have some public program T, some public output Z. And the things we want to prove is that I know an input X for a program T that will give output Z. And we want the proof and verification time to be much smaller than the runtime of T. And this is where this motivates this acronym that you might see around Twitter or sort of this space of SNARKs, which is succinct, non-interactive argument of knowledge. We want a small proof that is not an interactive protocol that I know this X. And so how do these proofs work? So they all work in this using this idea of arithmetization. And what that means is the claim I want to prove, like I know input X for program T, I reduce it to some claim about polynomials. I reduce it to a claim of the form, I know a set of polynomials that satisfy some polynomial identity. And why do we like, when we're talking about succinct proofs, why do we like polynomials so much? It's because of this, Schwarz-Zippel lemma that tells us that if an polynomial identity of low-degree polynomials doesn't hold identically, then it won't hold at a random point. So sort of it's enough to check the identity at a random point. So this is sort of a blueprint for a short proof. Just reduce it to a polynomial identity and just give your polynomials. Don't give all the polynomials. Just give their values at some random point. Right, but to actually make this work, you've got this chicken and egg problem, because who goes in the sense of who goes first, the prover or the verifier, right? If the prover will go first, he can't go first because then he doesn't know the challenge point, so he does need to send all the polynomials. That makes the proof long. That ruins zero knowledge because the polynomials will leak a lot of data. So you could say, all right, the verifier goes first. The verifier chooses some random challenge point. The prover only gives his polynomials on that point. But of course, this is totally not sound, because if the verifier says, OK, my challenge point is 13, the prover can then adaptively choose polynomials that only work well at 13. So how do you solve this chicken and egg problem? And this was a big advance. What you need is this concept of a polynomial commitment scheme. So this is really a magical tool that all modern zk-SNARKs are based on right now. And how they work is they allow you to do this magical thing where the prover, the polynomial may be like with a million coefficient, but the prover can send just a short commitment to the polynomial. Later, the verifier will choose some input in the field. And the prover will send the value of that polynomial with a proof that really this is the value. I haven't changed the polynomial I had in my head after you chose I. The prover will prove that really this is the value f of I for the f I had in mind in commitment time before you told me I. And a really cool thing is that we have, KZG stands for Kate Zawarucha Goldberg. This is sort of the paper that a lot of these modern constructions are based on. There are such polynomial commitment schemes where it doesn't matter, the degree of the polynomial is a million, a billion. These commitments and opening proofs are only 32 bytes, or 48 bytes. They're one elliptic curve point, both the commitment and the opening proof. And yeah, I guess because time is very short, so I'll say really briefly. So, and here, where really the where the math magic comes in my opinion, is in these what's called elliptic curve pairings. This is what KZG is based on. So what are elliptic curve pairings? So basically, right, we know this idea that you can add things in the exponent, right? I have g to the x, I have g to the y. If I multiply them, I'll get g to the x plus y. So right, so we know we can sort of add hidden values. So pairings give you a way to also multiply hidden values in the exponent. This is the power they give you. So So what they give you is a pair of groups G and GT, such that G is an elliptic curve with a hard discrete log problem, meaning, again, from G to the x, it's hard to find x. But this is sort of where the magic is. The pairing is this map from G to this other group GT, such that if you put inside G to the A and G to the B, the pairing will multiply the exponents. You'll get some generator of GT raised to the power A times B. 1 minute. Okay, perfect. And basically, the idea is that using these pairings, you can get this magical primitive called a polynomial commitment scheme. And I'm thinking, anyway, one thing, I mean, this is a lot to digest, so I'll just say, since I have like 30 seconds, I'll say one thing about this scheme is you might have heard this concept of a trusted setup. So one thing that this scheme crucially relies on is that I need, for some secret x that nobody knows, I need this string that is the values, that is the powers of x of the secret x in the exponent. So this, right, brackets x here means g to the x. So I need a setup phase where someone generates g to the x squared up to g to the x to the d for some secret x that nobody knows. So this, if you've heard this concept of the trusted setup, this is where it comes in. You need a group, like 100 or 200 people come together, and they all need to run some protocol where the end of the protocol will be a string like that, the powers of x in the exponent, such that none of them individually, unless all of them collude together, they cannot know what this x is. And that's one big element of the KZG scheme. So yeah, I think I'll stop here. So thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Ariel. I'm sorry we don't have more time, but we started a bit late, so there is a space for 1 or 2 questions, if there are any. All right.
I was just going to say in the intro that Ariel discovered the inflation bug in Zcash and invented PlonK, which it revolutionized like modern ZK, made it much more efficient. And that's what Zcash is also moving to Halo 2 algorithm, which is based off of PlonK. And he also worked for like Starkware and yeah, did a lot really important ZK work.
Oh, Ariel! Whoa!
Thanks.
Thank you so much, Amir.
That's a great question. Yeah, I love that.
More of these, please. Maybe any other question, comment from the audience? I also, in the back.
So, how many people in the world which understand in depth the zero knowledge proofs?
I don't know. I don't know the number. I do know that it's increasing exponentially. Yeah, like like I was at ZK Summit 2 weeks ago. I gave extremely like advanced talk, and there were like 60, 70 people who all, by their facial expressions, I concluded they were following at least. Yeah, right.
It's amazing. Thank you so much again, Ariel.